Thanks, everybody. Welcome to Build. I'm your host, Ricky Camilleri. In 2017, M. Night Shyamalan released what turned out to be a companion film to his beloved movie Unbreakable from 2000. Split was a surprise success. It grossed almost $300 million at the box office. And now Night has returned with the third film of the trilogy, hence trilogy. It's called Glass, and it brings all of the characters from the first two films together. Let's take a look. Everybody, please welcome from Glass, Spencer Tree Clark. Let's hear it.
Hi, guys. How's it going?
Hey, man.
Hey, how are you?
Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Congrats on returning to this world.
Thank you.
Which I'm sure in 2000, right, when Unbreakable came out.
I was 11.
You were 11, and, you know, M. Night Shyamalan pulled you aside and said, hey, just want you to know this is a part of a big game plan where this is going to be a moderate success for this film. No one's going to really think that they want a sequel, but I'm going to release this movie, Split. It's going to have a surprise ending, and then we're going to do Glass. It's going to be about 20 years later. Are you cool with that?
That's exactly how it went down.
Like, what a master plan. Wow.
I honestly had, I had no, I mean, he talked about doing a sequel years ago, and it was sort of floating around out there, the idea, but 17, 18 years had passed, and it just wasn't on anybody's radar. And then when Split came out, that sort of attached the two universes, I was actually out of town. I was camping with friends. My phone was on airplane mode, and I got back, and then my phone just like lit up when I turned it back on, and it was friends being like, "Do you know anything about this?" I was like, "No, I haven't seen the movie. Like, what's going on?" And then,
well, because Bruce Willis like literally shows up for like the last second.
Yeah,
of
like
the movie.
it's a little tag. It could be after the credits. So I mean, the movie totally stands alone, and then it had this amazing thing, and yeah, and then a couple months later, Knight had set up a phone call with me.
So a couple months after Split came out, he already had the script ready to go for Glass, and was.
I think he was writing it, but at that point he was, it was all greenlit, and they had to figure out between the two studios, between Universal and Disney, because the two movies, Split and Unbreakable, were done by different studios, so that was a little bit of wrangling to figure that out as to what would happen with Glass, and yeah, so I had this phone call with Knight that was set up, and I was like pretty convinced that he was going to call me and tell me that they were like hiring Chris Hemsworth to play my character, or like The Rock or something. And so he said he's like, "Are you available this fall?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'll make sure that I'm available." And and so it's been little steps along the way. You know, that first table read, and then getting on set, and then
what was the table read like?
It was pretty bizarre because I hadn't seen Knight or Bruce, and it'd probably been like 10 years. I'd sort of run into them a little bit a couple times throughout those 2 decades. But it was pretty special. I mean, the table read was so fun to see those characters again. I think for me even more was seeing Bruce and Sam in their original costumes again. That was where it sort of hit home.
I imagine a M. Night Shyamalan table reading goes really well, though, because his films are very written. They're very much about the characters. While there are action sequences, or there are sort of thrilling sequences, they're very much, I think especially Glass is about building these characters and conversations about who they are and the world.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that was really helpful for this movie is we had like a week of rehearsals where we got to sort of re-explore those. I'm just coming back to a character that I hadn't played in so long, and just to go through the script and explore what he'd written, and also just to connect with these people again. I was 11 years old. Bruce Willis oddly played like a pretty important role in my childhood, so to get to see those guys again and reconnect was pretty special.
What kind of role would you say Bruce Willis played in your childhood?
For example, when we wrapped Unbreakable, Bruce gave me the entire box set of the Beatles and Led Zeppelin CD box set, obviously, and that was like my introduction to like good music. Like he was in a band, and I was like, I want to be in a band, and I started playing guitar, and so that was Bruce sort of inspired that. But yeah, it was, and also I grew up on action movies and stuff too, so there was that aspect as well of like looking up to him professionally. And Knight was young. Knight was 29 when he made Unbreakable.
Really?
Insane. Yeah, I was older when we made Glass than Knight was when he directed Unbreakable.
Wow, I had no idea, because was Unbreakable was right after Sixth Sense?
It was
Or a couple years after?
Yeah, it was a couple years after.
But it was the
Yeah.
first movie after The Sixth Sense, right?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it was not, and I mean, everyone kind of freaked out because they thought it was going to be like another ghost movie or a
Yeah.
horror movie, and it was marketed that way, and it wasn't that at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's always changing and playing with genre and stuff. So.
What is it like? What is it like working with him as an actor 17 years later? Because you're a different person. I'm sure you have more skills in your toolbox to use.
It was actually really interesting because when I was so little, I wasn't really thinking about someone's directing style. You're just there and you're having fun, and now, especially doing so much television, everything's so quick, and generally you just have like blanket coverage where the camera's trying to catch as much of the scene as possible, and
You just have a lot of
blocking's
lot of
not
different
really up to you.
directors on
Yeah, a lot of
television
different
as well.
directors. But for Knight is so specific. He, it's all storyboarded out. So it's, instead of being like, okay, like, come in here, rehearse the scene, use your space. It's like, no, like walk 3 feet, say that line, like move down and sit over here, which can be a little daunting because you want to have some freedom to, make it yours. But also, that with Knight, he's got such a clear vision and it's going to look amazing. So it was pretty cool. And he takes such long shots. People don't use like 4-minute takes anymore. And Knight does that all the time.
Well, he tries as hard as he can to make it all a scene play out in 1 or 2 shots.
Totally.
Which I find I find thrilling to watch because I think the fast cutting and all of the different camera angles for the most part belittle the craft of movies. Not
Totally.
to sound like a jerk, but yeah. When you watch someone who uses 1 or 2 takes, you're watching someone who really cares about how to tell the story.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He was super gracious with me because a lot of the movie we were filming in Allentown, Pennsylvania, and it was cold and there was not much to do when we were not filming. Great go-kart track, actually. There was a great go-kart track nearby. But other than
Go-kart with Bruce Willis?
I did with James a lot, and he's a maniac in a go-kart.
He seems competitive. I feel like he would get in a go-kart and get really intense.
He had a trainer, Magnus, who he's huge in the movie. He's playing the Beast, and he's jacked, and his trainer Magnus, who is like blonde and Swedish and is just like totally everything you expect from a celebrity trainer. He's the man, and him and James were so competitive in those go-kart. We did it like 3 or 4 times. It was so fun. Anyway, sorry, back to what I was saying is instead of hanging at the hotel, when I wasn't working, I would watch Knight direct. I would watch Night Shyamalan direct a movie, because why would you not watch that instead of sitting in a hotel room? And he was like very tolerant of me, just like over his shoulder watching. And there was a scene with Samuel L. Jackson in a shot that he was really excited about, and he was like, "You should stick around later." And the fact that he even did that and was aware that I was the whole time watching meant a lot.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Can I ask what shot it was, or will that give anything away?
It sort of does give something away, but there's some computers involved.
Got it.
It was just
Okay, I remember.
It was pretty cool, yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. He could tell that you were watching, and then he kind of...
Yeah, he was just like, I know that you're observing me and are into this, and there's a shot that we're doing this afternoon, and you should stick around instead of going home, because I'm into it. And he's such a student of film. He loves movies so much.
Are you interested in directing yourself?
Absolutely, yeah.
Were you before this, or was doing this and watching him something that really pushed you towards wanting to direct?
Both, to be honest. I think Knight, even at a young age, was like very keen. He's such a mentor to so many people. I know, like, Anya and I definitely felt that, but so many people in all departments felt that way about Knight. But after Unbreakable, another rap gift, he gave me a camcorder. I think he was like hoping that I would go on to.
Did you just walk away from
movies.
Unbreakable with like bags of gifts?
Booty, yeah, pretty much.
He gave you a camcorder. Did you start using it? And
I did, yeah. I did a bunch of stuff, but one of the things that I did that I sent to Knight that we dug up while we were on set, it was a stop motion movie that I made with like my G.I. Joes, and there's pyrotechnics in it and like things on fire, and I'm voicing so it's 12-year-old me. My voice is so high, and I'm like trying to make my voice sound like this. And like the video is amazing. We watched it. I think it was the last day of shooting, actually. My mom found it somewhere in the attic, and I pulled it up and she digitized it and stuff, and we were able to watch it on set. It was pretty fun.
You know, one of the things about this film is that it's not just a movie that gets the cast from these 3 movies together.
Mm-hmm.
in a movie, they are all contained for the most part in one location, which is fascinating. That means that fans really get what they want. If fans wanted these three characters to be coming together, they are getting exactly that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We filmed at a defunct mental hospital that was like from the turn of the century, like, and it hadn't been in operation in decades, and yeah, all the characters are there for congregate there, but it was pretty spooky filming there. And West, our composer, would go there at night and record. Everybody thought he was crazy because he'd go there and to this very clearly haunted mental hospital and record like cello noises in like the dark hallways. I don't know how.
Really?
Yeah. I'm not
You
sure.
should have followed him around.
I'll probably see him on Tuesday, but I'm not sure whether any of it made into the movie or not. But yeah, he was recording sounds that he could then later use. So yeah.
And so you get to set, and what is it like shooting with Bruce Willis for the first time in 17, 18 years?
I mean, he's a hero of mine. I grew up on Die Hard, and he's so cool. Like there's a scene right at the beginning where we run a security store together in the movie, and that was sort of a defining moment for me during my experience. Just being back with him and being back in these characters for the first time in forever, and it was pretty special. I mean, we're like, it's the through line for my character is that he like loves his father and looks up to him, and it's really nice that Bruce is like such a good guy and has been a part of my life for a long time. So
yeah, there's questions that I want to ask about that aspect of your character and where that goes in the movie, but I don't want to give anything away. That, like, I don't want to be like, well, Sarah Paulson's character does, but it's kind of hard to do that.
Yeah,
because,
don't.
yeah, I don't want to. I don't want to do that. But you get to set. You're working with Bruce Willis. You're doing this scene with him. Do you just say hi? Or are you just like, hey, what's up? Let's do this scene. Or are you like, does he remember you?
Yeah. I mean, like, it's.
Did he give you a box set of anybody else at the end at the wrap party?
I didn't get any box sets this time around. Maybe I should ask him.
Got to be 11.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it was as simple as that. We had a big cast dinner sort of at the end of the last week of rehearsals before we all got going, and Knight has a beautiful home outside of Philadelphia, as you might suspect, and we congregated there and had an amazing dinner and danced and hung out, and then we started making this movie.
Now, the film is, it's very much, I mean, it's for anybody that wants to see it, but it's also very much for the fans. It is steeped in comic book lore. It's steeped in, like, conversations about superheroes and comic books. How well-versed in that stuff are you?
I'm pretty well-versed in it, actually. It's fun because I've done a couple of seasons of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is a Marvel show, so I know how engaged fans are with the comic book stuff. And I think what's going to be really interesting is when Unbreakable came out, people weren't very well versed in comic book movies. A lot of people, when Unbreakable came out, they're like, do you really want to touch comic book movies? Like, what is this? And now everybody is so used to these movies, these huge movies. 5 of them come out every year, so it'll be cool to see how an audience who's better versed in the genre approaches Glass, especially because it's such a grounded comic book movie. So
it's also like a deconstruction of comic book movies. It's conversations are mainly about what it means to be a superhero and what comic books mean to regular people on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
Spencer, I love the film, man. Congratulations.
Oh,
it comes
thanks so
out
much,
Friday. It's called Glass. It's another M. Night Shyamalan film, and it's exactly what audiences want, and you're fantastic in it.
Thank you so much.
Let's get a big round of applause for Spencer. Let's hear it.
Thanks, guys.